From epic boss battles to experimenting with different descendants and building my character, I dove headfirst into the First Descendant for 100 hours, and here's what happened. I'm here to give you the full breakdown of my experience, and boy, do I have some stories for you. Think of this as a guide, but with more sarcasm, less patience, and all the love for this game. The First Descendant is an action-packed third-person shooter that blends fast-paced combat with deep RPG elements. If Destiny 2 and Warframe had a baby, this would be it, except the First Descendant is that cool baby that doesn't need your wallet to have fun. And I mean that by not having to buy expansions to progress through the story and such, like Destiny 2. As a free game, it's actually giving you quite a lot to enjoy. Sure, there are microtransactions, but they are about as necessary as a second desert. Nice to have, but you can live without it, probably. Everything can be crafted for free as long as you know how to get the materials for it. It just takes a bit of time. I was able to experiment with different descendants, some which are really good for certain things, like Bunny being the best for farming along with Valby, Glay and Luna. And then you have descendants who are really good when it comes to taking down bosses quicker, like the ultimate Lepic, Glay or Kyle. Sharon being the only one who can infiltrate an outpost, and Enzo, who everybody wants in their team not only for his crazy crit damage and ammo, but also because he's the best for opening encrypted vaults. There are some descendants who don't get too much love and actually needs more work on their kit, like Blair and Jaber and Asimo, but you could always have fun with them, and they can be pretty OP if you heavily invest in building them. Then there's Ajax, my main man, who's like that one friend who's always there to revive you because you were too busy showing off and you got yourself killed. He's super tanky, looks cool as hell, and let's face it, there's something satisfying about just being unkillable while your team scramble to stay alive. Face tanking almost every type of damage, and also his abilities are really freaking cool. You have the Orbit Barrier, which is a nice shield that deflects projectiles and also kills melee enemies attacking the shield. Then you have the Void Walk, a big jump and slam AoE attack that stuns enemies. Combine this with the Expulsion ability for a nice combo to take down your enemies quicker. And then finally, the Hypercube, which creates this massive dome-shaped shield that's really great for saving your allies during boss fights. Ajax was the perfect descendant for me, not only because he's a giga tank, but also he does a pretty good amount of damage. Everything in this game actually depends on how you build your character, what mods you use, also including your weapon, which comes down to number 2, the grind. Although this game is actually really fun with all the enemies to face, missions to do, bosses to fight, the most boring part of this game I would say is the grind. The First Descendant is like that one ex who keeps texting you at 3 AM. You should walk away, but here you are, 100 hours in trying to build your character. It took me just 30 hours to finish the main story missions and unlock hard mode, and once you reach hard mode, that's the time you'll need to heavily invest in your character with different mods, ultimate weapons, different roles, farming for certain materials, increasing the capacity of both your descendant and weapons. And the most annoying part is where you'll have to grind for the crystallization catalyst, which also increases the capacity of both your weapon and descendant. But the downside is that you'll have to do this per slot, one catalyst per mod slot, which also means leveling up to level 40 each time you do this and then it gets resetted. This definitely took a huge chunk of my time. It gets repetitive and there are times where I just fell asleep doing some EXP farms. So yeah, the grind on this game is pretty insane, but it's kind of worth it in the end. I mean, there are certain builds that people like to go for and max out on. Nuke Lepic, who does an insane amount of damage, Glay with a rocket launcher, Bunny mains who clear out multiple enemies with ease. Always appreciate Bunny mains when doing EXP farm, because if you have them in your team, you really don't need to do anything other than just relax and get them juicy EXP. Of course, in any RPG, character progression and loot are key. The First Descendant has a solid progression system that rewards you for sticking with your character and refining your playstyle with different transcendent mods and builds. Getting the mods that you may want will also be a grind, as you'll have to do the same mission several times until it drops. It really depends on your RNG. The loot system can be a little frustrating as you'll have to farm for the amorphous materials in order to craft new weapons or descendants, but there's also a crafting system that allows you to upgrade and modify your equipment, giving you even more control on how your character develops. If you're into tinkering with stats and min-maxing, you'll find plenty to keep you busy here. There's like 23 ultimate weapons in total as for now, so see what suits your playstyle the best and enjoy it. There will be more ultimate weapons added in the future updates, so it's gonna be interesting to see the abilities of each of those weapons. One of the standout aspects of the First Descendant is the boss fights. These aren't your average bullet sponges. They are challenging, and especially once you reach hard mode, there are bosses which basically are named as colossal, that has unique mechanics and requires strategy and coordination to overcome. If you don't know the mechanics, you're gonna have a hard time not only for yourself but for your team as well. so be sure to learn and enjoy as you go. I was able to fight every boss with Ajax, and I could solo the hard Devourer with ease, but the only fight that I haven't been able to manage is the Gluttony, because boy, no matter how tanky you are, this guy hits harder than my morning coffee. I tried to fight him 5 times, but let's just say Gluttony isn't going on my Christmas card list anytime soon. Pro tip, know the mechanics or you'll be spending more time on the ground than actually fighting. Now let's move on to the world and story. The world of First Descendant is stunning, with detailed environment that'll make you stop and admire them right before getting ambushed by a bunch of enemies. From dense forests to sprawling cities, each area is well crafted with attention to detail. You get several maps to explore as you progress with the story, with multiple missions to do around the map, encryption vaults to find, outposts to infiltrate, and doing the fusion reactors for the loot that you need. The story is pretty interesting, with Carol kind of being like Thanos with his search for the Iron Heart. The Descendants are like the Avengers. We also have Kyle who's like Iron Man, and then you have the guide who's like Cortana from Halo. The cutscenes are great, but I won't lie, I skipped a lot of NPC dialogue, especially from that one guy who sounds like he was voiced by an AI.
Avoid erosion with the Iron Heart. The Colossi have become more active.
But overall, the story is solid, and I'm curious to see where it goes next. The way you progress with the story in this game has a repetitive pattern. You start off with a level 10 map, do all the missions there, and then you'll have to do the special operation, and then you get the cutscenes to the story, then you get back to Albion, talk to the NPCs, and finally you get to face a boss fight, and then they throw you into a level 20 map, and then the same thing repeats until you reach the final map. The missions aren't too unique. Different maps will also have the same missions for you to do, but I heard that the devs will be adding some new dungeons later on that we can do, which will be interesting. The devs are actually dropping updates like hot pancakes, listening to the community and fixing the bugs. It's only been like more than a month since the release of the game, and they've done quite a good job on the updates, from adding new descendants, bosses, weapons, cosmetics, and a lot of bug fixes. But I still do have a bug with Ajax though. For some reason, I don't get the full HP whenever I enter a boss fight or when I travel to a different map. I hope that they fix this soon, because it's actually annoying to see my health being in half all the time. Finally, let's talk about microtransaction and multiplayer in this game. Yes, they're there. And yes, you can spend money if you want to speed things up or look cooler than everyone else. But honestly, why rush? Life is short. Make those 34-hour research waits count. And if you decide to spend, hey, use my code for extra rewards, because why not make it rain? Everything can be done for free as long as you have the materials for the Descendants or weapons you want to craft. You also do get free skins and rewards through the battle pass, so it's not actually bad. The multiplayer aspect of this game is where the fun really shines. Whether you're farming for gold or teaming up to take down bosses, the community is generally positive and ready to help. Matchmaking is a breeze, and as an Ajax man, it's my solemn duty to keep all you squishy characters alive. Just wish there was a way to aggro everything to me so you guys could stop dying like every 5 seconds. So after 100 hours in the First Descendant, what's my final say on it? Well, let me just tell you that this game has a lot to offer. Whether you're into deep lore, challenging gameplay, or just love a good loot grind, there's something here for everyone. Sure, there are a few rough edges, but overall it's a game that delivers on its promises and keeps you coming back for more. There's a lot that still could be added into the game. If you haven't watched my Luna Patch update video, I'll be talking about what they needed to add into the game to make it an overall better experience for players. So please check that out if you haven't yet. The First Descendant has been a blast, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. Thanks for sticking around till the end, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on more content. See you in the next one.